Big Fantasy Football doesn't want you to know that they're just scrambling, trying to get you waiver wire content. They're trying to pull whatever they can find. We're going to go over the top websites when you Google search waiver wire content for week 9. We're going to go over the top plays from those websites. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly, what I think about those players, whether or not to pick them up or not. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're going deeper than anybody else when it comes to waiver wire. Anybody on YouTube, any of these sites, we get it first, we get it deeper. On top of that, we're deep diving all the trending prospects that are blowing up, that are climbing the depth chart. On top of that, we're going to help you set your lineups at the end of the week. We're going to look at the matchups. We're going to be looking at the rankings. We're going to help you make those plays. Click that button. Stop missing out. The first player we're looking at today, Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy is an obvious one with Cam Scatterbo being out. That's an obvious. He did well last year. Explosive, good catch the ball in the backfield. Had multiple RB2 weeks last year, a couple RB1 weeks. We're looking at him right now. We haven't fired yet. We really haven't fired. 10 points against Denver. That's our best outcome so far in the year. But we're going to see more work. We're going to see more opportunities. Could be similar to last year. Jackson Dart has been putting this team in weird game scripts. There's some opportunity here. Plus, when you're looking for running backs off the waiver wire, there's a lot of stash plays. There's not many plays that are instantly going to step in and be the guy in their backfield. He's going to be the top get off the waiver wire. Every single site has something about him already on a Monday. Bam Knight. A lot of people are talking him up. A lot of people. I did not bring him up last night because we were talking about what happened from week 8 going into the waiver wire. He's got a good matchup against the Cowboys. Everybody's blown up against the Cowboys. Between him and Michael Carter, he looks like the most competent one. So you may be rolling Bam Knight against the Dallas Cowboys. I would look at him as a flex play. I would be hard-pressed to put him as an RB2 play just due to the volatility of the offense. Due to him, I like the matchup. I think that gets him the flex status. I think he's rankable in the top 30, where prior, like against the Packers, very hard to do so. I think this bumps him up a little bit, but I wouldn't go over the moon. If you're hurting at running back, then of course, yeah, throw him in, especially getting hurt with bye weeks and injuries. I think it's a good matchup for him. But if you're good to go at running back, you got your usual starters, you may want to just have him so nobody else can have a running back that's getting touches for their lineup. Tyjae Spears, he's wrecking Tony Pollard right now. He's getting more opportunities in his backfield, more snaps, more touches. It's turned into a 50-50 shot when it comes to work out this backfield. When it comes to fantasy production, that's going to impact him being consistent. He hit last week or yesterday against the Colts, 17.2 PPR fantasy points. He's going to have a couple good games this season. He usually does. Even when he was sharing the backfield with Derrick Henry, he had a few good weeks. Tyjae Spears is a good running back for what he is. He's no Saquon or anything, but given the opportunity, he can cash on any given Sunday. Dylan Sampson, he's getting mentioned a lot in waiver wire articles. Quinshon Judkins is day-to-day with a shoulder injury, and they're on a bye week. Quinshon Judkins is going to be back. Dylan Sampson's not going to get a lot of work. He will get some targets here and there. If Judkins is out, look for him to get a lot of volume in the passing game, as they're looking to stick with Dylan Gabriel. And if that holds true, he can only throw it like 5 to 10 yards, which means Dylan Sampson will get a lot of targets. But if Judkins is out, Sampson is not a pickup for traditional 12-team leagues. He's a stash play, but better for deeper leagues, considering that this offense is not explosive. Kyle Monangai, he should be rostered. He was a big pickup last week, but in traditional 12-team leagues that isn't as fluent with the waiver wire, that isn't as aggressive, you might still be there. You do have a good matchup against the Bengals. Flacco right now is a day-to-day with a shoulder injury. We're watching that. Kyle Monangai could get that red zone look, could get that red zone opportunity. 7 carries yesterday, 13 the week prior, 5 in week 6. So you're getting a little bit of workload. You need him to cross the goal line or DeAndre Swift to get injured for him to get you some fantasy production. Kayshon Boutte scored a touchdown in 3 games straight, 4 total touchdowns, got the Falcons, got the Bucks. Odds are against him scoring a touchdown this week, if you look at it that way. we're getting good volume in this offense, but not good enough for him to be consistent when it comes to catches and yards. 3 for 75, 2 for 55, 5 for 93, and then 5 targets, the highest since week 1. So the volume's not really there. Drake May spreading it out, but he is a good gamble flex play if you're hurting at wide receiver, or if you're hurt with bye weeks and you need to throw somebody in. Kayshon, Boutte. Same with Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin hit for 26.9 PPR fantasy points. The week prior, 12.9. 18 total targets over the last 2 weeks. So he's trending up. We got Houston on the road. He's running a lot of routes. He's got good rapport with Bo Nix. He should have been really rostered this whole time, but he wasn't firing. The workload was up and down. Now it's starting to get consistent. Troy Franklin's worth a pickup. He's worth a look. You may want to play with him with the flex spot, and he might earn his way up the more if this continues, but the upside's starting to be there. Dike is rocking it. The last 2 weeks, 32 total fantasy points, 16 and 16 in each of those games. Got a touchdown in week 7, 8 targets in week 8, 4.3 speed, and this team has to switch things up. They got to allow him to get some work. They got to allow him to get that opportunity, and he could be a monster in space for this team. Cam Ward's starting to pump out the ball a little bit more. It may not be efficient. It may not be sexy advanced stats, but he's starting to pump out the ball a little bit more. We're starting to see those yardage totals start to trend up a little bit. And guys like DK, Alec Ailmanor, they might have some pop-off weeks off and on through the rest of the season. I think DK is going to have a couple more good games unless he completely blows up and becomes a big play. Malik Washington, the thing about him, he gets a lot of short targets, and he does not get much volume. The volume as of the last 4 weeks, 5 targets, 8 targets, and 5 targets. Prior to that, 5 and 3. So he's trending around 5 targets a game. His ADOT is in single digits. He's either got to score a touchdown or break loose with yak or catch all 5 of his passes and really make something out of it because he's not getting it deep downfield. Unless he starts getting it deep downfield, he's got to break loose with yak or start scoring touchdowns. He's going to be a volatile play. He will have a few good weeks off and on throughout the season, probably a good 2 to 3 with this volume, with this opportunity in this offense, but it's not going to be consistent unless we start seeing more deep balls or more targets, unless we're starting to get more red zone looks. But you also got Devin Achan, you got Ollie Gordon, you got Waddle there. There's a lot of competition here in this offense. Trey Tucker should have been a pickup. We've been talking about him. He was left cold on your waiver wire, maybe due to the bye week, but the last 3 weeks in targets, 6, 5, and 6. On top of that, week 3, 40.9 PPR fantasy points. When you look at this from the macro, when it comes to hitting the fairway, 10 to 15 PPR fantasy points. We're hitting it about every other game. Week 1, week 3, week 5, week 6. So every other game, we're hitting it. So this is a decent pickup if you want a 50-50 shot at hitting a fairway in your flex. Darius Slayton is an upside dandy, and they're probably going to have to switch up this offense a little bit with Cam Scatterbo out. They're probably going to have to take some more risks downfield. 5 targets against Philly in a weird-ass game script. You got San Fran, you got Chicago, you got Green Bay. You got some advantageous situations coming up in the back end of the season. Darius Slayton is a gamble flex, riskier compared to some of the guys we just talked about, but gamble when it comes to the deep ball and splash plays. Isaiah Likely. If you're looking for a tight end, Lamar Jackson's going to be back. More than likely week 9 against the Dolphins. And he might be catching more volume. That's something you may want to explore. He has hit in this offense before. He could be hitting in the back 9 of the season. A lottery ticket tight end at a position where there's very few lottery tickets. Harold Fanning. At least he gets targets. At least he gets a lot of work. This team cannot throw up past 5 yards. I've said that before. We're on bye. But I believe he shouldn't be on the waiver wire either. But he's in all the waiver wire articles. However, he is a solid pickup if he's there. You're not going to use him this week. But against the Jets should be a favorable matchup for good volume for this team. He's going to get the short targets. He can get you yak. He's going to be getting workload and opportunities. He should be good for about 5 targets a game. Mason Taylor should be good for about 5 targets a game. Similar to Fannin, but he's going to be getting deeper targets downfield. Also on a bye week, but we got Cleveland rougher defense. However, against rougher defenses, teams got to spread the ball around more. He might be getting some targets in this matchup. Him and Fannin together, they are touchdown gambles. And that's how I look like. Anything could happen with these two tight ends. They got to score the touchdown to hit big fantasy points. It's rare that tight ends in these offenses or any player, any pass catcher in these offenses are going to rack it up. Catches, yards, targets. They got to splash with that touchdown. Darren Waller. This ain't my idea, but it is a good idea. But I know he's stashed on the IR spot with somebody on your league. But it was called out by one of these sites that if he's there, pick him up. If that's true, pick him up, put him on IR, and then pick somebody else out in that spot that you had to drop and then make it happen because he is in the free IR spot. I just don't believe him to be sitting there on waivers when he could be stashed on IR. Usually when somebody hits IR on your team, you just hit those buttons, move them to IR, and you keep it moving. Usually that's how that works. Not always. Some people hate drop, especially at the tight end spot. He's been banged up. But the thing about Darren Waller, we'll be back like week 13, 14 or something like that, right around the fantasy playoffs. He was getting touchdowns. They need something in this offense. It is the Dolphins. They're not looking to make a coach change. He's fighting for his life right now. Darren Waller might be a guy that helps you get through the fantasy playoffs or not. These are the fantasy websites I was looking at. Fantasy Live, PFF, Fantasy Pro, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo. More pickups than this, but I went with who was getting talked up on most of the sites. Some of them are kind of weird. Juwan Johnson was mentioned. Like, how is he on the waiver wire? Christian Watson, I could definitely see that being on the waiver wire. There was another one that wasn't supposed to be on the waiver wire. That was kind of funny. I can't find that one. Kyle Monangai was mentioned a lot. Devin Neal was mentioned on one, two of them. So you're looking at this. Trey Benson was another one. He should be on IR somewhere. He should not be sitting there on waivers. I don't look for him being a pickup for your fantasy teams. But the websites, they're scrambling. We hit this like right after the games last night, deeper than what these websites were talking about. Matter of fact, they probably looked at my video and probably pegged out some of the names for their lists because that's what I would do if I was them. But when you're looking at this, they are just looking at the top producers or who was hot waiver wire prospects from last week, and they threw them in. But we'll be back tomorrow. More waiver wire content. We're going to go deep at running back, deep at wide receiver. 20 to 30 deep at each position, each getting their own video. If you need help at running back, whether it's starting plays, stash plays, that video is going to help you. Same thing for wide receiver. We go over those situations really quick with advanced metrics to help you out. Click that subscribe button so you don't miss those videos. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.